This episode is brought to you by the Sterling Soap Company. Christmas will be here before you know it, and you know what would make a great stocking stuffer for everybody in your family? Sterling Soap. From bar soap to shave soap, beard balm to lip balm, aftershaves and lotions, Sterling Soap has something for everyone on your list. Check out their seasonal soaps that will complement the scents of your home this holiday season. And they're more than just soap. They also have a full line of coffee straight from the Sterling Roastery. Find their full line of products at sterlingsoapcompany.com.
What's up, sports history fan? Dana Augusta here of the Historically Speaking Sports Podcast. Ever wish you can get behind-the-scenes access to the Hockey Hall of Fame and dive into the untold stories that shaped the game? Then you need to check out Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories Part 2 by Eric Zweig. Eric's latest book is packed with wild, unexpected tales from epic rivalries and game-changing moments to quirky incidents like polo injuries and snowblower mishaps. Eric Zweig's impeccable research and passion for the sport of hockey will whisk you through the NHL's early years, the origins of the Three Stars tradition, and how hockey first hit the airwaves. Plus, you get fresh takes on legends like Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Hall, and Joe Sakic. Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories 2 is available now wherever you get your books. Grab your copy and get ready to dive deep into the heart of the game.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to award-winning Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network. I am your host, Rick Loayza, and this is the podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. We are bringing old-school basketball to a new-school audience, and today we bring you the story of the NBA's original high school players. Now, most of us are aware of Kevin Garnett's decision to enter the NBA straight out of high school in 1995, which launched a whole generation of high school players going straight to the NBA. When Kevin Garnett was in high school, he was seriously considering going to the University of Michigan, but could not achieve the exam scores necessary to actually attend the University of Michigan. Then the rumors began that he would be the first player in 20 years to enter the NBA straight from high school. Many doubted whether a player from high school would have the physical maturity and the emotional maturity to go straight into a grown man's world and play basketball at the highest level. Well, those doubts were squashed just within a few games, as it was obvious that Garnett was the real deal. He was not just surviving, he was thriving in the NBA. The following year, both Kobe Bryant and Jermaine O'Neal made the jump directly from high school. Then in 1997, it was Tracy McGrady. In 1998, it was Rashard Lewis and Al Harrington. The whole movement hit a peak in 2004 when 8 high school players were drafted in the first round, including Dwight Howard, who went first, then Sean Livingston, Robert Swift, Sebastian Telfair, Al Jefferson, Josh Smith, J.R. Smith, and Darryl Wright. The whole thing was starting to get out of control, as some of these players were nowhere near being ready to play in the NBA. But this story is about the original 2 players that jumped from high school directly to the NBA. The year was 1975, and the players were Darryl Dawkins and Bill Willoughby. Now, at this point in basketball history, the NBA is about 30 years old. Every player that had ever played in the NBA either played at a university or served in the military or had professional experience in a different league before joining the NBA. Back in those days, most NBA rookies were between the ages of 22 and 24. They were already grown men when they entered the league. When Kobe Bryant was 24 years old, he had already been in the NBA for 7 seasons and had been selected to 6 All-Star games, and he already had 3 championship rings. So let us start with Bill Willoughby. He was 6'8" and around 200 pounds, and he was hyper athletic out of Dwight Morrow High School in New Jersey. He was a big man with the quickness and athleticism of a guard. Willoughby had created a recruiting frenzy, similar to the way that Moses Malone was recruited a year earlier. The leading schools in the Bill Willoughby sweepstakes were North Carolina, Maryland, and Kentucky. Coach Joe B. Hall of Kentucky was the one who actually was able to get Willoughby to put his signature on a letter of intent. If Willoughby was going to play for a university, It was going to be the University of Kentucky. However, Willoughby was keeping a close eye on Moses, who was in the middle of his rookie year with the Utah Stars of the ABA. Moses was an ABA All-Star as a rookie, averaging 19 points and 15 rebounds per game. Well, Willoughby thought, if Moses could put up those kind of numbers, then why couldn't he? In Willoughby's imagination, he could see himself battling nightly with guys like Elvin Hayes, Rick Barry, and Bob McAdoo, some of the big-name stars of the NBA. So he decided to forego college and enter the 1975 NBA draft. But most teams were not all that excited about him. This is something that I have said before. Evaluating a high school player can be very difficult because you also have to evaluate the competition. If a high school player is averaging 25 points per game, is it because the player is really that good, or because the competition is that weak, or somewhere in the middle? I mean, how meaningful is it to score a ton of points against a player who isn't even going to play beyond high school? In any case, Willoughby fell out of the first round, and with the first pick in the second round, which was the 19th pick overall, the Atlanta Hawks selected Bill Willoughby. He reported to camp at the end of the summer fully expecting to become the new star of the Atlanta Hawks. After all, Willoughby had always been the best player on his team for his entire life up to that point, so why would things be different in the NBA? While Willoughby was and is a very kind-hearted person, he was also introverted and struggled to communicate his feelings to his teammates and coaches. He once injured his hand and could not participate in the regular practices or games. One of the assistant coaches assigned Willoughby to do some conditioning drills, including floor sprints, so that Willoughby could stay in shape until his hand healed. Well, Willoughby did not interpret the conditioning drills that way. He felt that the coach was punishing him for getting injured in the first place. Now remember, he had trouble communicating his thoughts clearly. Essentially, it was these types of miscommunications that occurred regularly and placed a distance between Willoughby and the rest of the team. He sulked through nearly all of his rookie year. He also had trouble connecting with his teammates, many of whom were married and had kids of their own. In many ways, Willoughby was still a kid himself. Playing for the Atlanta Hawks was the first job he had ever had. He only averaged 4.7 points per game coming off the bench for the Hawks. After 2 seasons with the Hawks, he was traded to the Buffalo Braves, and then they waived him after just 1 season. He was out of the league for an entire year and then made his way back in with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But again, after just 1 season with the Cavs, he ended up on the Houston Rockets, and that only lasted 2 years before he became a San Antonio Spur and then finally a New Jersey Net. By the time he turned 28, his NBA career was over. His career average was only 6 points per game, and he was never a regular starter. Now, as they say, hindsight is always 20/20, but I think it would have been an extremely valuable thing for Willoughby to have played a few years at the college level before entering the NBA. He would have had a chance to develop his game, but most importantly, he would have had a chance to mature emotionally before going into the league. If he had done that, I think he would have had a more successful professional career. Now, the other big mistake that he made was financial. He gave his agent power of attorney over his finances, and basically, the agent stole all of Willoughby's money. Now, Willoughby's story is part of the reason why no high school player entered the NBA for 20 years until Kevin Garnett did in 1995. Willoughby made it a point to contact Garnett and give him both basketball and financial advice. Well, this is a good place to take a break, and we'll be right back with Darryl Dawkins.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
At the Sports History Network, we're all about sports yesteryear, and so we're so pleased to introduce you to Row One, an online memorabilia gallery and shop that brings your sports history to life anywhere. The Row One gallery includes over 5,200 gorgeously reproduced prints of team posters, game program covers, game tickets, advertisements, and more in baseball, pro and college football, pro and college basketball, and more. And any gallery item may be printed in a variety of sizes on wood, metal, canvas, acrylic, or poster paper. And in Row One shop, check out the thousands more of unique unique items with retro and historical designs dating back to 1876, including t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, phone cases, mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com, ROW1, for access to the full Row 1 catalog and for gallery prints and gift items, plus get a 15% discount off all prints on the Row 1 Pictorium Gallery with coupon code SHN15. Follow the link on the show notes.
Hello, sports history fans. I'm Ross from the podcast Pigskin Tales. You're about to jump into another thrilling sports history moment, but first, let's dive into today's sponsor, just in time for the holiday season. Introducing Art of Words, the brainchild of word artist Dan Duffy from Philadelphia. Dan meticulously crafts stunning images by handwriting relevant words from some of the greatest sports moments in time. These unique, budget-friendly illustrations are the perfect gift, sparking cherished memories and capturing hearts. Choose from city skylines, sports, history, and musicians to find a piece for everyone. And here's the exciting part. For that sports fanatic in your life, gift them a piece of their favorite team or player's history. Art of Words tells a compelling story. Explore collegiate stadiums, each meticulously crafted with every football victory etched into words. Or venture into baseball stadiums, handwritten with every player from the team's illustrious history. My favorite on the site is Bryce Harper 2021 MVP year. Because I'm a big stats guy, I think that's one of the coolest things ever. Check it out. Don't wait. Order a print today for yourself and your loved one this holiday season. Transform your wall into a gallery of captivating art and surprise your family and friends with a print of their own. Use code SHN15 at artofwords.com for a 15% discount on your order in November and December. Visit Art of Words, where words magically transform into stunning art, evoking cherished memories and touching the hearts of those who you care about. Again, use the code SHN15 for 15% off at artofwords.com.
Welcome back to the show, and let us continue with our story on the original high school players who went straight to the NBA. Now, prior to the break, we shared the story of Bill Willoughby, who jumped from high school to the NBA in 1975 and had a below-average career by NBA standards. Now, our next player is Chocolate Thunder, better known as Darryl Dawkins. He was also part of the 1975 NBA draft, just like Bill Willoughby. However, Dawkins was held in much higher esteem by NBA teams. Dawkins was 6'11" and weighed nearly 250 pounds when he was in high school. The guy was described as a man-child. The kid was only 18 years old and was already bigger and stronger than nearly every other player already in the NBA. His ability to rebound and score in the post was beyond what most every other high school player had been able to do since Wilt Chamberlain. Dawkins did his damage for his basketball team playing for Evans High School in Orlando, Florida. Pat Williams, the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers at the time, was enamored with the sheer power of Dawkins, and by drafting him as an 18-year-old, it was theoretically possible that he could play in Philadelphia for at least 15 years, maybe even 20 years if things had panned out. So, with the 5th pick in the entire draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Darryl Dawkins. Now, unlike with Willoughby in Atlanta, the 76ers did not need for Dawkins to become a star right away. The 76ers were extremely talented and could bring Dawkins along slowly. They had the luxury of developing Dawkins and not rushing him or putting him under any undue pressure. That year, the 76ers had Doug Collins, George McGinnis, Steve Mix, Fred Carter, and Billy Cunningham. Now that is a solid 5 players to build on. They could take their time with Dawkins. In fact, Dawkins only averaged 2 points per game as a rookie, and then he averaged 5 points in his second year and 12 points in his third year. Now, by that point, the 76ers had also added Julius Erving to the team and was going to the NBA Finals. At this point, Dawkins was a solid role player off the bench, but without the pressure of having to carry the entire team. That responsibility belonged to Dr. J. By 1979, Dawkins had moved into the starting lineup where he was averaging 15 points per game and 8 rebounds per game. But he was most known for his eccentricities, like telling people that he wasn't actually from Florida, but rather from the planet Lovetron. He also had a habit of naming his dunks. He gave them such names as the in-your-face disgrace, the rim wrecker, the spine chiller supreme, and the lookout below. But his most famous dunk was when he shattered the backboard on purpose in Kansas City over Bill Robinzine, the man who had the unfortunate task of defending Dawkins on that possession. The name for that dunk was Chocolate Thunder Flying, Robinzine Crying, Teeth Shaking, Glass Breaking, Rump Roasting, Bun Toasting, Wham Bam Glass Breaker, I Am Jam. Now, he was a player that you do not easily forget. In all, he played 14 seasons in the NBA with the 76ers, the Nets, the Pistons, and the Jazz. And then he played in the Italian League for 5 more years. His contributions to the NBA was really more of a cultural impact rather than a basketball impact. He never went to an All-Star game, yet he is more memorable than many All-Stars of his day. Sadly, Dawkins passed away in 2015 at the age of 58. Both Bill Willoughby and Darryl Dawkins entered the league in 1975. Now, if you put both of them side by side, it is pretty easy to say that Dawkins had the better career, but neither became a superstar. That is probably why it was 20 years before another player attempted to go straight from high school to the NBA. But still, these two players broke a barrier and should be recognized for attempting to do what had never been done before in the NBA. Well, that does it for today. Join us next time when we share the final entry in our occasional series on the bygone teams of the old ABA. We will end our series with the Spirits of St. Louis. That's next time on Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of Sports Yesteryear. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com to find out more about this and other sports history podcasts. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And check out our page on Facebook. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast. There you'll find shorter historical posts as well as comments and discussion starters on today's game. I'll also announce there when new episodes come out. I want to thank my producer and editor, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories from the past. Take care and see you soon.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.